Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Where I am, it's 10:03 a.m. Eastern. Hi, everybody. I'm Leslie Flowers, and I'm so happy that you're here this morning. This is the first Friday of the last month of the year. Don't you just love it? So today we're going to have a phenomenal day, and this hour will be great. It's all about the subconscious mind. So come on in and let me sing you in. Let us know where you're calling in from and enjoy this song. As I clear my throat, here we go. From the 30s. Never know how much I love you. You never know how much I care. And when you put your arms around me, I get a fever that's so hard to bear. You give me fever when you kiss me, fever when you hold me tight. Fever in the morning, fever all through the night. Sun lights up the daytime and moon lights up the night. I light up when you call my name, and you know I'm gonna treat you right. You give me fever when you kiss me, fever when you hold me tight. Fever in the morning and fever all through the night. Everybody's got the fever, that is something you all know. Fever isn't such a new thing. Fever started long ago. Hey, everybody, come on in. Romeo loved Juliet, and Juliet, she felt the same. And when he put his arms around her, he said, Julie, baby, you're my flame. Thou giveth fever when we kiss us, fever when they're flaming youth. Fever, I'm on fire. Fever, yeah, I burn forsooth. Captain Smith and Pocahontas had a very mad affair. And when her daddy tried to kill him, she said, Daddy, oh, don't you dare. He gives me fever. With his kisses, fever when he holds me tight. So much fever. I'm his missus. Daddy, won't you treat him right? Now you've listened to my story and made the points for sure. Chicks were born to give you fever, be it Fahrenheit or centigrade, they'll give you fever. When you kiss them, fever when you live and learn. Fever till you sizzle, what a lovely way to burn. 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 Good morning, everyone here on LinkedIn and YouTube. It's so wonderful to see you. We have a lovely visitor. Good morning. Nice that you stopped in today. We're here every Friday at 10 a.m. I'm Leslie Flowers, and this is a series, a 12-week series. This week is week 11 of 12. No problem. You can catch up easily today. And this is every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. So happy December to everybody. And let's see who we have here. Well, thank you. That's why you're putting that in there. Thank you. All right. Let's see who we have here. I believe I saw Good morning. There is our friend Kimberly Lechnick. Good morning, Kimberly. Kimberly is a wonderful coach, works primarily with women in midlife, but is all about generosity. And so it's phenomenal. I'm so excited that you're tuning in from YouTube. And everyone knows that I do this every Friday at 10 a.m. along with a Monday show, Mind Over Matter Mondays at 10 a.m. Eastern. And there's the wonderful Dr. Marcia. Hi, Dr. Marcia. I'm so glad that you're here today. Dr. Marcia has a live show on LinkedIn and YouTube at 8 a.m. Eastern every Tuesday morning, Leading with Light. So I am so glad that you're here. We have a couple of new people. Okay, so let's see who else is here. All right, let me just take care of this. And so glad you're here, Alex, the man, coming in from Boston. I grew up in Natick, and my brother and sister were born in Boston. So I'm so glad you're here. We can all park the car on Harvard Square together. What do you say, Alex? And Kim, so glad you're calling in from Seattle. You're a new listener, and I'm so glad you're here. And I really have to say something that you're here at 7:10 a.m. because you're on the West Coast. So that tells us all of something about you. Please get to know the people in this audience, whether you're on YouTube or you're on LinkedIn. And we would love to have you come every Friday. There's a wonderful group here that meets. They're all thinkers and thought leaders, and they know how to think. And here's Charles Caldwell. He's calling in from Hong Kong. Oh my goodness, it's 10:10 at night there. Hi, Charles. I'm so glad that you're here. It is Friday night. So that tells me a lot that you're here today and this evening. And Charles is an executive business coach primarily, but he had a long stint managing the Toronto field office for Landmark Education. And he's been a guest on my Monday show, Mind Over Matter Mondays at 10 a.m. Eastern. And we've had lots of conversations about transformational technology. So he will be back, if not this year, certainly in January, if I can arrange it with him. And so thank you for being here, my friend. And here's the wonderful Sharon Rose Winfield. If you don't know Sharon Rose, she is all about gratitude. She's the Gita girl, and you'll know her hashtag Rosie Reckons or Rosie Speaks. So glad that you're here, and it's 2 hours earlier for you too. What a way to start your Friday. It means a lot that you're here. And that's why I'm recognizing you. And I will get to know the people on YouTube. I am ignorant of YouTube pretty much, but I do broadcast there, so it helps to hear from you because I want to try to understand how it works. And so I totally appreciate you. And today we have a wonderful Lisa Fevick, who has a birthday this month. I think it's already passed. Lisa is a registered dietitian, and her specialty, her LinkedIn Lives are every other Tuesday afternoon, 5 p.m. Eastern. It's called the Metamorphosis Dialogues. She addresses the decades of menopause with how certain foods can help exacerbate or alleviate some of the 100 symptoms that ladies have. Right? Or your partner, right? So it's helpful to know that you can reduce some of those problems just by eating certain foods or avoiding certain foods. And these are good for everybody. She has a wonderful newsletter as well. All right, let me see what's going on here with my scrolling. All right, so thank you all for being here. I will be watching the comments and ask us any questions. Ask me any questions that you have, invite your friends, and let's go ahead and begin, shall we? Today is a wonderful day for this subject. Let's see if I can make myself a little bigger. There we go. So this has been a 12-week series. They're all recorded. I can tell you how to get to them on LinkedIn, but I can't tell you how to get to them on YouTube. I can barely find it myself. So that's how little I know about it. But I want you to know that while this is week 11 of 12, I've been doing this for several years, and I do it in quarterly increments. And we repeat. And so if you're a person who says, well, I've already heard that, I already know that, then listen in, because you're not the same today in terms of awareness of your infinite potential that you were when you knew it before. And don't you know, when you see a movie again, or you read a book you've read again, what happens is you see things that you're sure weren't there before. That's the phenomenon of your growing in conscious awareness. So if you hear anyone say, I already know that, you know that they're just not ready and willing to recognize the fact that they're growing into greatness, right? We're either growing into greatness or we're slipping back into not so great. Those are the two ways we can go, and it all depends on what we think. And Think and Grow Rich, for those of you who are unaware of it, most people know what it is. When I started teaching it, though, a few men knew, no women knew. And around 2008, I decided that women needed to know how to compete in 21st century business, but they had none of the soft skills. And so no one was listening to them, because the behaviors that come out of being a woman, a wife, a mother, and managing a household are quite different than the way you would behave in business. And if you don't match the frequency and the context, people stop listening to you or never start. They don't do it on purpose, but the vibration is off. You're not in sync with their way of thinking. But it's very easy to change. The same thing would happen as if men went home. You can ask any man who's a house husband, I don't really like that term, but who's taken on those duties while the wife is out working in the business world. They'll tell you they had to learn to nurture and to fix the boo-boos. So I hope you enjoyed the song today. That song is out of the 30s, and Peggy Lee made it famous. One of my 12-week series was all about stepping back 100 years. So if you're Team Live, if you'll note in the comment, hashtag Team Live. And if you're listening to this later, Team Replay, and listen in, because today you're going to again see what causes and is the source of our results. And it's not what you think it is. Exclusive deep study is taught and has been taught by world-class leaders in understanding exactly how the mind works. Think and Grow Rich 100 years ago, you'll find out today that Napoleon Hill knew a lot about the mind, but he didn't know the distinction between the conscious and the subconscious. Interestingly, he knew the difference between brain and mind. Today, you hear a lot about neuro. You have therapists and neuro-linguistic people that are getting degrees in counseling. They were never taught how the mind works. So they collapse together, mind and brain. This is a relatively new field of study, and the distinction between mind and brain brings clarity and then action. If you think brain and mind is still the same, if you believe that, allow me to introduce the distinction. As long as you believe that those two things are the same, you'll never be able to empower yourself to change your results. You must understand the process that was God-given. And we'll start with that brain is an organ and mind is a cellular activity. So let's get into it. I'm glad you're feeling better. Yes, I'm so glad. Sharon Rose. Okay, so let's start. Okay. And I'll make this a little different. Let me see if I can make this. I want you to be able to see this a little bit better. Well, isn't this interesting? Let's do it this way. There you go. So each 12 weeks we go through this. There are 13 principles of success in my work over the last 17 years and 20,000 hours of teaching, actually yielding 500 successful 12-week goals by my clients over 65 business quarters, all documented. So the results are there by using the hybrid process, part of which is built on Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich and Carnegie's principles of success. All 13 aren't here because my program collapses many of them together for you. It's a very big book. And honest to goodness, most people are not interested in reading big books, right? So, and we're listening. And you can listen is a wonderful thing that you can do. Good morning, Sandra. Hi, it's so good to see you. Sandra is a NLP practitioner, a hypnotherapist, and a best-selling international author. So glad to see you here. I know your life is busy like all of ours. It means a lot that you came here. And you're here. So today we're working on the subconscious mind, but let's do a quick review, because you may be coming into this cold in the 11th week and think, oh, I don't really want to go back and listen to all these videos to catch up. You don't have to. And one of the things I do is the first minutes are acknowledging you. So you can just skip right through that if you're catching up, but you don't have to. So your definite purpose is in the introduction. So before you even get into the principles of success, and this is linear, okay, so it's the kind of thing that it's a specific process. And actually, this process is how you get what you want. Now, look, this is the #2 bestseller of all times over the last 100 years. So many personal development greats have built their programs on this. So many businesses have been started. There's got to be something to it, right? And you'll see when we get to #5, auto-suggestion, it is through consistent repetition of what you're thinking, how often you think it, and how you feel when you're thinking it, that causes your results. You cause your results. You are 100% responsible. Even if you don't understand how it works yet, you've seen the signs. When you think positive thoughts, positive things show up, and the reverse is also true. So just because we don't know exactly yet how something works doesn't mean that it's not working. There's plenty of empirical evidence about prayer and the power of prayer. Why does it work? It doesn't work for prayer for other people, but it does something with you. So before you even come out of the gate, we did the first 2 weeks on definite purpose. There's no point in going on if you don't understand this. So if you're thinking about reading it or listening to it, listen to the introduction several times, because what you're going to get out of that is that you have to have a specific, compelling idea that you've never done before, that you might have failed at. You have no clue how to do it, but you are compelled and driven to do this thing. And it's only one thing. And what we'll find out is that we only think one thought at a time. It's either positive or negative. So this goal or dream you're almost obsessive. Think about the greatest things that man has done for mankind. When a person is working and building computers, such as the beginning of our PC experience as humans, they were a little obsessive. The guy who built the Taj Mahal for the woman he loved, the greatest thing that man has ever built for women, so it is said, he had to be obsessed. When I wrote my science fiction about the fifth dimension last summer, my first fiction, I lived there. I lived in the visualization of where I was, and I made it all happen. So this is all about manifestation. It follows one law of God's laws. And most people don't know about that law. But if you know about it, you know what to think about. That's what this is all about. So once you've got your definite purpose and you know this is it, nobody can change your mind. It's strong enough to ward off your fears because we've all failed. So most people give up because this idea isn't strong enough or compelling enough to outweigh the fears that you've experienced. Only one is going to win. Hey, look who's here. That's right, Dr. Marcia. One thought at a time, even if it's just a second. It's kind of like computers. It's 1 or 0. At least that's how I learned it a long time ago. It's one or the other. The speed, the amplitude of vibration, that's not what we're talking about. You can focus on one thought on purpose. And if you don't do it on purpose and intentionally, the strongest thoughts will take over. Because as you've heard, nature abhors a vacuum. So thank you for that. Slow it down. What are you thinking? How frequently are you thinking? And most of all, how are you feeling when you think it? So let me see who else is there. Oops, we got that. Hey, Linda. Linda Meyer is a specialist, a coach, and I'm very interested in what she's doing. She's beginning newsletters and has an in-depth understanding of narcissism. So if this piques your interest or you know a narcissist, I don't think that people are either a narcissist or they're not a narcissist. I sort of suspect that I might have a few tendencies, but it doesn't dominate my life. But I don't think that anybody gets to a point of awareness and stays there. We're either growing in awareness of our infinite potential or we're slipping back into our comfort zone. It's as simple as that. So thank you for being here, Linda. All right, once you've got this settled, going through here over the next few minutes, now my programs are 12 weeks. I've found that 12-week goals, whether it's part of a bigger goal or it is the 12-week goal, is about as long, dealing over 17 years with all my clients going through these programs. It's about as long as you're going to stay focused on one goal at a time, the compelling goal, the one that outweighs fear. Maybe it's the one when you decided you wanted to go to university and that's all you thought about. Maybe it was a year when you wanted to write a book and you just had to do it. This was the year. Everything else pretty well falls by the wayside and you get a little unbalanced. But if you're aware that this is what it takes, you've got to have a burning desire to achieve this. Now, you don't have to think about it a lot. Just a few times each day, imagining yourself already having it by visualizing it, using your imagination, and feeling what it's like to already have it. Not someday, maybe, but now I already have it. And this drives your cellular vibration up, which is what communicates with the universe. So what you yield will be based on your cellular vibration that is dominant. So all you really have to do with one goal, let's say that lasts 12 weeks, a piece of a goal or one at 12 weeks, is every day. Think about it a little bit, and it'll drive up your cellular vibration in terms of what actions you have to take. 1 or 2 tasks a week. I'll say two to 3, 2 tasks a week at least, half hour to a couple of hours. Okay. So it's not overwhelming. With one goal, you'll be able to track the process and be able to repeat it consistently so you can drive momentum and build confidence and build your business and make more money. We're building habits, but habits are just outside of the next principle, which is faith. Habits are wonderful, but they are not faith, because habits can be broken. But when you've developed perfect faith in something such as God, or when you complete a goal that you've never done before, you couldn't think how in the world you could possibly do it. Oh, I see Carol is here. Hi, Carol, so good to see you. It's been a while. I'm so glad that you're here. When you do that, you always have your best chance at achieving your goal. So faith comes in 3 phases. So you've got the clear thing that you want, your definite purpose. Now you're thinking about it, doing a little work on it every single week. You'll resurrect the visualization of your already having it. It drives your cellular vibration, and this is what communicates with the universe. And this is partly the law of attraction, which you're going to attract the result that matches what you're thinking and feeling the most. Now, I know in Stanley Green's work, which is Power Thinking Corp, they use the former statistic that everybody knows about, 50,000 thoughts a day. That's a lot, right? Very few get in, really. And even those that are relevant, sometimes we don't quite get them anyway. But now there's some research out of Canada that says we have 6,000 complete thoughts a day. So that's a distinction that's relatively new on the landscape. But just the same, 6,000 are a lot too, right? If we could just get a few each day, right, that move us forward, that would be plenty. But you'll see what happens. So now faith, over 12 weeks, you go through 3 phases. First, it's expectation. I'm going to give it a whirl. About halfway through is when the magic starts to happen. When you've been doing what I've shared and what is in Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, and you do this with faith repeatedly using what is known as the 4th principle of success, auto-suggestion or self-suggestion. This is how we learn. Halfway through, something magical will happen if you're looking. And what happens is people and opportunities start to show up that you think are a coincidence. And I'm here to tell you they're not. You always thought they were a coincidence, but what if they're not? What if you're causing the matter? What if what you think and how your mind works is the source to living a life of wealth, health, and happiness, right? For having all 3. For having all the money you need to give back to others. It's okay to take care of your needs. Absolutely. Feed yourself, but then feed others. Our purpose is to serve, no matter what decade we're living in. Oh, and look, not a problem. Harvey Tuck is here. I'm so glad you're here. Harvey has a beautiful show on Tuesdays at 12:15 called The Franchise Show. And what I've discovered, I don't know anything about franchising, but what I really love about Harvey is that he's used these 12 weeks over the last year or so to set and achieve a goal based on his business to generate income. And he was our guest. If you look back for Decision, which is, as you can see, a few weeks back, from this week, I was at week 7, you'll hear his story and how simply coming here every week, just be consistent. If repetition is the first law of learning, then we want to be consistent with the material, with what we think, right? Not just once a week, not just once a month, but one thing every day, and do a little bit each week. So I'm so glad that you're here. Then when you actually start seeing people and opportunities show up halfway through your goal, they are not a coincidence, and now you can tell people. That's your sign that the universe is responding to this visualizing you're doing, that the work you're doing actually is productive, and you can see it. It helps. It helps to see this happening for yourself. This is the empirical evidence. And rather than assuming when something fabulous happens to you, or small or large, assuming that it was a quirk or a coincidence, that could be a mistake. That's what I'll say. And then once you complete it, 6 weeks later, when you've achieved the thing that you didn't know how to do, that you were compelled to do, that you were driven to do, now, if you failed at it before or anything else, this proves to you that you have the ability to do this thing that you didn't know how to do, and that you're deserving of the reward. And you'll see that it moves into the subconscious, but it's still not strong enough, your belief in yourself, to outweigh decades of not believing in yourself. But this is the step to create faith in your ability and deservability. And then we learned about imagination. There's two kinds of imagination. There's creative imagination, when you get that wild idea out of the blue. You think of it and you think, oh, I'm going to do this. And it's on your mind, and you just have to do this thing. For example, I wrote a chapter in the third Legacy Chronicles that is published. It's an anthology published by Guiding Brilliant Writers Publishing House. And when I wrote the chapter, I wrote it as a play. All of a sudden, I get this idea, because I saw someone else do it. This would be a great children's book. And this morning I woke up realizing it was me and my 4 grandchildren. They're all mice, just like Who Moved My Cheese. What a great children's book, because it's all about the stories that children ask about their parents. What was it like when they met? What did they do bad? What did they do good? So now I want to write a children's book. That's creative imagination. But immediately the synthetic imagination comes into play and starts to fill in the pieces. Okay, well, I'm associated with Guiding Brilliant Writers. I know people that have done children's books. So I don't know how to do it, but I have enough synthetic imagination. And these are where our failures come in. So don't avoid or forget about the failures that you've had, because you then found the solution, and you may use the solution again as part of synthetic imagination. So the things I'm sharing with you about Think and Grow Rich, I'm feeling in a new way today. I read something that Socrates and Plato and all those amazing people that came before us, and we watch their quotes go by, and we love and like them. It was all based on astrology and the energetic frequencies. Now, you know, most people in certainly the 20th century don't embrace this. But what if that is true? And what if that's something else that we were unaware of that will help us become more wise and make more decisions? So, for example, yesterday was the last full moon of the year, where the moon is the closest. I thought it was the furthest. Forgive me for those I might have said that to. It's the closest in the vibration. 3 days before, yesterday, and 3 days after. Something magical happened yesterday for me. I did my annual goal-setting workshop. It's a transformational 3-hour experience for the attendees, where learning and connection to the universe occur within a very short period of time. And I made a decision. I'm a truth teller. And my fear is that you won't like me if I say it the way I see it. I made a couple of decisions based on intuition to not worry about being liked, to be more concerned to surround myself with people that are their word, that do what they say they'll do. And if they can't, they're in communication. So many people say, I'll be there to volunteer. PTA was that way, if you remember, if you've ever done Parent Teachers Association. Let me hear in the audience if you've ever had that. Oh, we're going to have a bake sale and everybody signs up. And then it's the same core of a dozen people. Because all those other people are saying to themselves, well, they won't miss me. There's a lot of people that'll do it, right? But what they don't understand is that now we can't count on them. If you're a person that gives your word and breaks it a lot, then we're not calling you at 3 a.m. You've established that we can't count on you, and that's fine. But it helps you decide who you're going to be close with and who you're going to work with. If people are out of communication and they haven't learned the power of their word, do you really want to continue investing time with them unless you're teaching them? So let me show you this. Let me see here. Love what you just said. I agree. We are here to serve, and I am an absolute believer in this program. Thank you. You're welcome. I believe I was hung up in what is purpose, Harvey, in 𝐓𝐡𝐢𝐧𝐤. And so I played what is called in Landmark, I ran a racket on myself. Now, oddly enough, that's a term they use, but basically it's a persistent way of being that lets you not be your best self. It's the justification. It won't matter because there's so many other people there, right? But it does matter. So I ran a racket on myself that I couldn't find my purpose. And I had to figure it out for myself. Please, people, I was over 60 years old when I figured out, and I've had 20,000 hours studying this work, 25 years in personal development, a sprinkle of quantum physics, metaphysics. I created the 12 laws of achievement. And the racket I ran on myself was that I was confused. You see, out of confusion comes order. So confusion, and I would have Landmark leaders say, Leslie, that's a racket. But I had convinced myself and had perfect faith that I didn't understand what a racket was. But that wasn't true. But it took a while. So I'm in my 60s, and now I get what purpose is. It's so simple. It says it in the New Testament, the Quran, the Old Testament, the Bhagavad Gita, the Talmud. Everybody says the same thing. Our purpose as human beings, think of it this way, is to serve others. But what I've noticed the distinction is that you can have different purposes over different decades of your life. So when I was raising my children and my family, that was my purpose. The one purpose, get my kids through school, right? Without a lot of damage, right? And happy, healthy, and wealthy. That's quite a purpose. But then over the last 25 years, I've had another purpose. For 10 years, it was all about teaching women how to mimic and mirror behavior in 21st century business so they would be heard. Because how many times would I talk to a woman who was in a meeting in business? They had just come into 21st century business, right? And they're in corporate and they're in a meeting, or even if you're at your church in a meeting and there are men and women sitting around the table and you're discussing something. Now think about this as a woman. And then as a man, think about if you've seen this happen. You're getting everybody's opinion as the facilitator. You're sitting with another woman. You raise your hand and you say, you have an idea. Nobody says anything. The facilitator goes on to the next person. And then the next person is a man. He says exactly what you said, almost word for word. And everybody goes, great idea. Great idea. And you lean over to your friend and say, were those not my words? So you see, people stop listening without realizing it. They're not being mean, but the vibrational context is different. The words women use, their physical behavior, all is misaligned with the corporate context. So that's an example. All right. Hi, Charles. So glad that you're here. I'm so happy that you're here. I am. Yes, alignment. And Kimberly talks a lot about alignment. Now, did I see my friend Sean Michael? I sure did. Hi, Sean. Sean is a mystery to me. He is an amazing teacher and coach. He has a tremendous background in NLP and in the written word. And actually, Sean was the one man who reviewed my love story, my science fiction love story last year when I was looking for reviewers. No problem having the women, right? But Sean was the man who stood up. So I'll never forget that for you. And he'll be a guest in December, the last Monday in December on Mind Over Matter Mondays. God willing that that the fish don't fly or whatever it is, right? Let's see what else we have here. Look what Sharon Rose says. Higher mind conceives, conscious mind perceives, subconscious mind achieves. I like that. All right, let me finish this up real quick so I can get into today because we're already 15 minutes from end. So there's a lot to know. But you also need to know all of this. So after imagination comes decision. Keep in mind that decision is the opposite of procrastination. The biggest flaw is procrastination in our behaviors, according to what I've heard. A lot of people will agree, maybe some won't. No problem making a decision if you have a definite purpose and it's only one. Anything that goes to interrupt it, you ask this simple question. If I take this on right now, will it help me get to my goal or not? If it won't, you don't do it now. You have to say, no, but could we, I can't do that right now, but could we talk about it in a couple of weeks? Thank you so much for considering me. I'm excited. I won't be available to really look into this with you until the first of the year. Would that be okay? Or if anything changes, could I reach out? So you're saying no, but you haven't shut the door forever. You don't have to throw it away. You just choose not to take it now because it does not feed your purpose. Persistence is that frequency in consistent spaced intervals over time. And then we talked last week about the sixth sense. It was my sixth sense, my higher side, that told me, speak your truth. Don't care if other people don't like me, and I'm going to tell you why. I think we humans tend to focus on the people that don't like us based on our fears. Fear of criticism and judgment, and not belonging, and we're not good enough. And those are strong. But what I know for sure, based on the laws of the universe, there are as many, if not more, that love what I share. So how about me taking responsibility, and rather than looking for the people who say things or don't like me, and you can do this too, remind yourself with your thoughts of those who do love you. And you've immediately changed your frequency. We did a goal setting special last week, and we are at the subconscious mind. Ready, everybody? Rein in. Let me see if I can get this so that I'm teeny. I want to be teeny. I don't know if I can. No, I don't want that. All right. I don't understand these things. Okay. So I posted this morning. I'm going to start with this. We think one thought at a time. What we think most frequently and consistently, and how we feel as we do this, determines our outcome. Get a hold of this. This is the key to manifestation and achievement. And I'll show you how to think this way, because I know the difference between mind and brain. So when we're clear, rather than confusing the two together, then we can take action. All right. Yes, Ashiv says we are cause and effect. We are the source. We are 100% responsible. There is no 50-50. Forget that concept, because nobody's responsible then. Just because you don't know why it happened doesn't mean you're not responsible. And you're responsible for what you've been thinking and focusing on. Now, there's a lot going on, so it's intermittent when you can do these things, but the more you do them, you begin to build a habit, which is about halfway through reaching faith. So you could lose it or forget it later. But these are the ways that you get to be consistent. All right, stop tweeting. Okay, here we go. This is a really simple explanation. Go with me. We have two minds, and there are two voices in our head. All right? So this is one way to look at this. You have two minds, two voices, and only one voice wins. You've got the conscious mind, which Napoleon Hill didn't know about. So 100 years ago, he thought it was all conscious mind. So a lot has changed over the last 100 years, and we've learned a lot more. But still, a lot of what he says is still true. Most of it is still true, but with all the years I've been studying it, I see new things coming out that he was unaware of, and that's just how things go. So you have your conscious mind, your thinking mind. That's what we're using right now. This is where the information comes in for all of us through our five senses. When you work with me more deeply, this is also the responsive and feeling mind. There's a distinction between feeling and emotions in vibration. One is high and one is low. As the information comes in, you can reject it. But if you allow it in on purpose, intentionally, or by not paying attention, eventually it will impress itself into the subconscious mind, which is actually what causes the neuroplastic changes in your mind, as I understand it. And I'm really grateful to the people, Susan Walsh, also Sean Michael, who are helping me limp along with neuroplastic stuff, okay? But I do know that the mind and what you think is the source of the changes in your brain. It's not your brain. It's your mind and your thoughts that have the frequency. They're a cellular vibration where the brain is the electronic switching station. The mind tunes in, right, to what frequency we're going to be listening at, right? So eventually this information, if you're paying attention or not, and we're talking about intentional thinking, but with 6,000 complete thoughts a day, there's going to be a lot that get in, right? You can turn off the TV if there's negative things happening. You can step away from people arguing. That's absolutely possible to do. Thank you, Sharon. Put some fire things up here. I like that. Oh, let's look at this first. Yes, we train our mind, and the mind affects the body. I hope that's what you're saying. Well, the mind actually, from what I understand, now think of it this way, because Bruce Lipton and James Brody have proven that mind affects the body, and we've seen people heal themselves through positive thinking. What happens when you're thinking positively through studies, scientific studies, and proof is that the proteins all behave in a certain way when you're at a high vibration. And when you're at a low vibration consistently, they move in another direction and you're dragging your feet. One is positive and one is negative. That's how you get chill bumps when you think about someone maybe that you first fell in love with. So consider that what you think is the source of all of it. Information comes in, we tune it in, right? It comes in through our five senses. And these other 7, I won't go into today, but these 7 here are what we call intellectual faculties. So the 2 or 3 people out of 100 that consistently achieve their goals, they've developed these intellectual faculties. These are muscles that grow in direct proportion to their use. Working with me, you're always exercising them. That's what I'm doing. So the subconscious mind is not thinking. It's the emotional reactive mind. And it is said that most of our life is spent here, reacting to everything, triggered by everything. So let's assume that nature abhors a vacuum. So if you're not purposely, intentionally thinking something positive, then your mind will be filled with negative. Okay, and it will eventually impress into the subconscious mind. That's where our fears are. That's where our habits are. And this is where pure faith is. So we do have faith perhaps in God or universe or a higher power, but it's not enough against the 6 fears, which we'll do next week. We had the fear and we revisit it over and over and over again. And we have neural pathways that are deep ruts, right? It's not until you enhance these that the subconscious and that new vibration creates new neural pathways, positive ones. So that's my understanding. My experts out there, you tell me if I got it. Okay. So I wanted to give you this because you can only have one at a time. So if you catch yourself with the negative, replace it with the positive. So here they are: desire, faith, love with 2 V's, sex, enthusiasm, romance, and hope. As you visualize the thing that you want, and you have a burning desire for it, you see the world through the prism of your desire. This is how you want to feel. If, of course, you feel this way, and we do, nobody's perfect at this. If you find yourself in fear and jealousy, I still have that jealousy. It's so ridiculous. I sometimes find myself jealous of people that don't know as much as I do. What is that? It's to tell you that I don't care how long you do this, the more control you have over what you think and clarity around it, the more you'll be able to outweigh these. So what becomes dominant in your thinking are the positive emotions. Right now, most everybody is operating with the negative, and you're somewhere in between. Practice the power of observation. Absolutely. Observe yourself. You'll never get it perfect, but you can aspire to be intentional. That's why people do vision boards. That's why they have sticky notes, reminders to visualize the positive, what you really want. So I wanted you to have that just so you could see the difference. If you don't pick a positive one, a negative one will fill the space. You'll be riding on those ruts and you will yield negative to match what you're thinking. So next week, we're going to do the epilogue, the 6 ghosts of fear. And these are so deeply planted that it really takes something to outweigh them. That's why only a few people consistently achieve and really live a life of wealth, health, and happiness. Because are they ready and willing to put in the work? I don't know. Oh, interesting. Look at this. Wow. Who knew? I love that. You see, the Bible, the number 2, I assume you mean the New Testament. That's the number 1 bestseller of all time. It's been around a long time. Think and Grow Rich is only over the last 100 years and is number 2. And you might ask yourself, well, if this is the roadmap to riches, and this actually works, Why isn't everybody a millionaire? Good question, huh? You aren't ready and willing. You don't have a definite purpose that's compelling. Not yet. All right, let's look here. All right, I want to do a quick 2-minute visualization with you to bring this all together. So if you'll just sit for a moment and close your eyes, or you can look at this. Let's see if it'll make it bigger or not. It's supposed to make it bigger. I just don't understand. Okay, so that's just me. Oh, we'll do this. This is better. Okay, I just want to read this to you. Let's do this 2-minute visualization. I want to lock in everything that you've taken in today and complete and bookend. My friend Kimberly uses that word in a very unique way. So I attribute her with that word. I always will. Okay, I'm bringing it up right now. I think I have it. Oh, God, the time is a wasting. I must hurry. I forgot to bring this up. I should have. I had 4 minutes to go and my camera wouldn't work. So you know what that means. You know, a complete reboot. Okay, here we go. Ready? All right. Everybody, sit calmly, sit comfortably. Look at the picture or close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. With each inhale through your nose, imagine drawing in light and clarity. With each exhale, release tension and distraction. Now, listen to these words. Dear universe, please hear us with your ears. Grant us our greatest desire. Listen for our consistency and commitment to service, and grace us, reflecting our own greatness into others. Feel these words resonate in your chest, as if the universe is leaning in to listen to you. Now picture a vast, starry sky above you. Imagine your desire rising like a glowing sphere of light, carried upward and upward into the cosmos. See the universe responding with shimmering waves of energy flowing right back down to you. These waves fill you with strength, reminding you of your commitment to service and your ability to inspire others. Visualize yourself radiating that same light outward, touching the people around you. Feel gratitude for the greatness within you and the grace of sharing it. Take one final deep breath. Whisper thank you to the universe. Open your eyes and carry the calm and empowerment into your day. All right, my friends, we're a couple of minutes past. Have a beautiful weekend. I'll see you Monday in Mind Over Matter Monday. And I'm going to close with getting you ready for Monday. And thank you for being here.